The story of creation in Genesis has inspired reverence and reflection for centuries. It describes God creating the heavens and the earth in 6 days, followed by a 7th day of rest. This pattern is so deeply woven into human life that it shapes the rhythm of our week. The Jewish calendar, which counts from creation, places us today in the year 5785, corresponding to AD 2025. This remarkable reckoning shows how central the creation account remains in Jewish tradition, reminding us that history itself is seen as flowing from that divine beginning. Yet what exactly are these days of creation? Are they to be read as ordinary 24-hour periods? Or do they represent something greater, perhaps ages or divine epochs beyond human comprehension? The Hebrew word yom, translated as day, carries several meanings. It can refer to daylight, to a full day, or to an indefinite span, such as, in my father's days. Context determines its sense, and Genesis uses it in ways that invite careful thought. The first use of day occurs when God calls the light day and the darkness night. Here, it clearly means daylight. Later, the repeated phrase evening and morning has led some to read these as literal days. Yet the 7th day, the day of divine rest, is different. It has no evening or morning. Its open-ended nature suggests that God's rest is ongoing, stretching into the present. If the 7th day is more than a human workday, the others may also point to spans of divine activity beyond human measure. Scripture itself encourages this reflection. Psalm 94 declares, "1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by, or like a watch in the night." From God's perspective, time is not measured as we measure it. He is not constrained by hours or centuries. 2 Peter chapter 3:8 echoes the same truth. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. These verses suggest that the creation days need not be read as fixed calendar units, but as expressions of God's will, periods of immense activity that may have stretched across vast ages, yet described for us in the familiar rhythm of days. What matters is not their duration, but their purpose. Creation was ordered, purposeful, and directed toward life. The Genesis account emphasizes this sequence. The formless earth becomes full. Light and darkness are distinguished, seas and land separated, the heavens and waters filled with creatures, the land with animals, and finally humanity made in God's image. The order itself is meaningful. Creation was not random but deliberate. The commandment of the Sabbath reflects this same pattern. Humanity is told to work 6 days and rest on the 7th, imitating the divine rhythm. Yet God's rest is not the same as ours. His creative work was unique, while our weekly cycles continue without end. His rest signifies the completion of creation, a rest that stretches forward into history. The Genesis week, then, both grounds human life and points beyond it, reminding us that God's timing transcends our own. It is also important that Genesis does not tell us when the beginning occurred. It simply affirms, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Whether the universe is thousands or billions of years old, the account is concerned less with dates than with meaning. What matters is that God is the source of all, that creation is purposeful, and that humanity has dignity as His image bearers. Genesis does not confine God to our clocks. Each day may be a vast expanse of divine activity, compressed into language humans can grasp. Time in this sense is not about chronology, but about theology, revealing the majesty of God's work. Jewish tradition develops this insight with depth. In Kabbalistic thought, God is described as Ein Sof, the infinite, who has no boundaries of space or time. The Zohar declares that God is above time, beyond time, and even the very cause of time itself. The Hebrew scriptures echo this perspective. Psalm 94 reminds us that 1,000 years are like a day to God, while Isaiah 57:15 calls him the high and exalted one, who lives forever. In Jewish thought, there is also the phrase b'sha'a tova, at the right time, which expresses trust that God's timing is always perfect, even when hidden. The Talmud teaches that divine providence unfolds not hastily, but at its appointed moment. The Midrash adds that while God created time for the world, he himself is beyond it. The philosopher Maimonides, in the Guide for the Perplexed, wrote that God's knowledge is timeless, seeing past, present, and future as one eternal now. Christian tradition carries these truths forward. God is described as eternal, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, Revelation 22:13. Time itself is understood as part of creation, meaning God is not subject to it. He views history in its fullness, while humans experience it moment by moment. This is why divine action may seem sudden or delayed, yet in reality is always on time. The Apostle Peter expressed this when he wrote that, with the Lord, a day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. Such language does not measure days in years, but shows that God's perspective is beyond comparison with ours. His eternity allows him to act with infinite patience, guiding all things to their fulfillment. Islam also emphasizes God's transcendence over time. The Quran speaks directly of the difference between human and divine reckoning. Surah Al-Hajj declares, "A day with your Lord is like 1,000 years of those which you count." 22:47. Surah Al-Sajdah explains that the order of creation ascends to him in a day the extent of which is 1,000 years of what you count. 32:5. Surah Al-Ma'arij stretches the image even further, describing a day with God as equal to 50,000 years. 74. Such verses do not give precise measures, but convey the vast gulf between human time and divine eternity. For Allah, all is present and known, his wisdom is eternal, his timing perfect. Across Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, a single truth emerges. God is not bound by our clocks. What feels delayed to us is never delayed to him. Whether in the days of creation, the hope of redemption, or the unfolding of providence, divine timing operates on a scale wholly different from ours. To human beings, waiting can feel endless, but to God 1,000 years are like a day. He created time, stands above it, and yet works within it for his purposes. The message is not that we should calculate divine days in human terms, but that we should trust his wisdom. His timing is always purposeful, always right, and always good. God's ways are higher than ours, and his time is not our time. To believe this is to live in patience and hope, trusting that the eternal God is never late and never early, but always on time. This truth finds philosophical clarity in the writings of Maimonides. In the Guide for the Perplexed, Part 1, Chapter 50, he explains that God's knowledge is perfect and unchanging, and that he exists outside of time. For God, all of history, the past, the present, and the future, exists as an eternal now. This transcendent vision of omniscience and timelessness underscores the reality that God's actions and plans unfold according to his will, outside the linear progression of time that we experience. It is here that faith and philosophy meet, pointing us back to the mystery and majesty of divine timing. Thank you for watching. What do you think about this video? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.